Alright, what's up? Alright, so now you may see that there is a stark difference when it comes to graphics and character creation. Character creation isn't as pretty as Baldur's Gate 3, but what is included in CC is given in classes. I believe I said this before, but there's a big difference when it comes to classes and how they play. Baldur's Gate 3 classes are very streamlined, are made to somewhat be successful regardless of what you choose. So about classes regardless of games. When you play these games, you have a choice of a few classes, which, just talking about the more simpler games like Dungeon Crawlers, you have the usual classes like Rogue, Knight, Mage, and Cleric. When you get into Baldur's Gate 3, you get your base classes, but you're never really a class until you get your crucial level 3. Level 3 is when you get your big power spike, because since that is when you get your subclass. Most of the time, you go into a game knowing what subclass you're going to go for because that will define your run and how you plan to play the game. Gear also amplifies the build and brings it out to fruition. The sad thing is that you have to make it to 3 before getting there, and if you're playing the game for the first time, you're most likely playing the game slowly and not really thinking you need to get the 3 their class online. Good thing is, you can play almost anything regardless of what type of path you are playing. Well, besides some subclasses on Paladin, which has become a pretty known meme in the community since it is very easy to break your oath. In order to talk about some classes in the Wrath of the Righteous, I have to talk about the alignments, how they affect you. Alignments are a descriptor that can define the personality of your character, how they go about the world. When you start up a campaign of a Dungeons and Dragons session, you make an alignment and a backstory that defines your character, which can also get your character into trouble. Now, in a session, you have to skirt your way. You can skirt your way without having to do every action in your alignment. Sadly, not the case in Wrath of the Righteous, since your choice in alignment can change in every dialogue. Now, why did I have to tell you about alignment when I was talking about classes? All the classes in Wrath of the Righteous has an alignment requirement, which doesn't sound like a problem if alignment was only an RP thing, like in sessions. But sadly, it isn't. Now, why is this a problem, you may ask? Let's say you decide to go chaotic evil. If you decide that a good alignment dialogue choice is better and you constantly pick the good option, your alignment will most likely change to chaotic good, which is bad if the class you're playing has a requirement for evil alignment to only use the class. Even though I think this is a bad feature, I also think it's brilliant because it forces you into the RP element. You're penalized for kind of straying for that path by losing out and leveling your class, less playing it entirely until you fix your alignment. Now, the reason I really dislike this is because if you feel like your character wouldn't say that line even though it's part of your alignment, you're kind of forced into a wall where the only way out is to accept your fate or try to run away and really get anywhere, and the only way out is to change the class to find the perfect path for you. I do feel like the alignment option should be more of an RP reason, but then there is no reason to have so many subclass features since there is a subclass for every alignment. Now let's finally get to the point of this video, which is classes, and because of how big this game is, I might have to make this a 3-part series. The reason for that is because I feel like the alignment system and classes are going to have to be a full video, then story, and then how I feel overall about the game and all the systems. I do want to do a comparisons between Wrath of the Righteous and Media 3, but that would be a while to explain since I will need to get more background video and will be harder to report. Now I'll stop chatting and we can start looking at all the classes Wrath of the Righteous has to offer. Now before we get the CZ screen, we see all the different modes the game has to offer. We are only going to talk about the main story since that everything else is DLC. The next screen we are greeted with is the difficulty settings. Every difficulty from normal is more challenging than the last to higher difficulty is called unfair. Kind of puts on BG3 on mode to shame, and I wouldn't attempt it since I tend to die on normal. These after normal all end if the MC dies in battle, which isn't the same as on the road since it's okay as long as your whole party doesn't wipe. Next comparison we will look at is the pre-generated characters um, versus origin characters, which truthfully isn't a comparison because origin characters will be in your party depending on how you plan to play the game. but the pre-generated characters won't be found in the world, won't be future companions, which is a short comparison, but the pre-generated character is just a guide, so you don't have to make a new character or name them. I would say the portrait system is great because since you can also import portraits and in the game for your character, but it wouldn't look like a character. Now I can make so many videos off all the different classes and subclasses, and it will take me years learning and beating the game with the subclasses involved. I want to actually read all the subclasses, classes, but we'll actually save it for till next video since there's a ton of things to read out. Probably go off script, so next video won't be written. We'll have to transcribe it. Be ready for that next week. This has been Odie the Incubus. That is my time. I'll see you all again next week. All right, later days.